Good evening. It's Friday, December 22nd, 2023 at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. You're watching Co-op for Two. Today we're going to continue our playthrough of The Hidden Listener by CosyKiller. If you haven't watched our first episode, this one will make no sense. You should stop watching and watch that first. There are 12 boxes in this set. We're planning to play one box per episode, and it will take us several weeks to get through. We'll be taking some days off. In fact, that's one of the things I want to talk to before we start about. I want to talk to you about before we start today is scheduling. So let me just check in with the chat. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to this holiday. If you've got any plans, anyone planning to play any games. We've got our regular group here. YouTube says 11 concurrent viewers and 3 likes. So this is my time to remind you that if you do like the content on this channel, I hope you'll subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. I'll do a little bookkeeping while I'm waiting for the channel to chime in with their holiday plans. I did record this afternoon a review for Penny Dreadfuls. Finally, probably should have recorded it sooner when things were fresher in my mind. It was a hard game to put together my thoughts on, but I did manage it. And I still have to edit it, but that will be up in the next day or two. That was a strange experience. I'm very curious to hear what others think about it. For our schedule, on Sunday, so I think tomorrow I'll take off. On Sunday at 3 p.m., we'll be doing our play-by-mail, normal 3 p.m. Central time, and we'll be starting a new case from Dear Holmes. So we'll read the first letter and discuss it. It's a little tricky to think about interleaving these two cases that are continuing, but I think we're up for it. It looks like Perry has a plan to play Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective on Christmas Day. That's great. Jonathan's got a small family get-together on Christmas. Christmas is on Monday, right? Okay. So Saturday we'll take a break. Sunday will be the play-by-mail in the afternoon. Monday will be Christmas. I would like to stream something over Christmas since I'm here alone. I'd be happy to share the time with those of you who don't have other plans. But I'm open in terms of what gets played and when. So like always, if that's something that interests you, you should stop by the Discord or the Board Game Geek Guild for this channel. There's links on the About page of the YouTube, and let me know what you'd like to play and when. Otherwise, I'll just pick something. We could, of course, play The Hidden Listener on Monday evening at 11 p.m. if the core group who wants to be able to follow it is available. If not, and I think not, then what we'll do is I'll probably play something else on Monday night, and then on Tuesday we'll get back to The Hidden Listener. So that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to continue playing through The Hidden Listener episode 3 on Tuesday night or Wednesday night, but you guys need to let me know, otherwise I'll just pick a date. Of course, it's highly likely that not all of you who want to join will be able to join live through all of the sessions of The Hidden Listener. All the more reason to break them up so you can catch up. Okay, let's check in a little bit more with the chat. Professor ABR says, I'm not sure we'll play games on Christmas Day, but we traditionally do a marathon game night on New Year's Eve. That's nice. And Tina's here, and Tina was helping translate some of the German from the letters. Professor ABR says, this year we'll have a few unlocked games and the New Haven case, plus one other lighter game. We like the Hidden Game series. I'm wondering if there are any new ones in that series yet. I don't think so. All right, so for today's session, we're going to open up box 2 and get started on it. But we're going to do a little bit of recap. We're going to look at the notes we've started taking. And I was taking notes during the stream. I went and reorganized them slightly. So let's take a look at them. So we've got the different people we ran into. Elizabeth Phillips was the main person that we're told we're related to. And it is here that she's the victim. That's probably not the right term for her. She's not the victim, but she was reported dead down in March. If you look at our timeline, we've got some letters for her where she started her new job at the spy agency Latimer House. We know we've surmised she's translating German POWs talking. We don't know in what context they're talking, if they're being interrogated or not, but she's translating. She's not a great typist. She suggests that if you're not a great typist at Latimer House, you may get transferred, which she's looking forward to. Then we see a death certificate of her death on March 8th, and then a postcard several months later, clearly from her in code, saying, "I am alive and well in Germany." So we believe she's probably part of some secret plan to send her to Germany, maybe to listen to German war people and send dispatches back to Britain. We think it's not that she's escaped and is a German spy, mostly because the death certificate was signed and she was ID'd by one of the people at Latimer House. So we think it's part of a plan to fake her death. You can see from our notes, I'm keeping track of different addresses that we found on letters, the timeline, and different people we've seen mentioned. In addition to Elizabeth Phillips, we've got Captain Solomon, who runs Latimer House. We've got Holst, which is the German POW that she's been translating, that only she knows how to translate. She's got two girlfriends, Dorothy and Neely. And she talks about Neely in an odd way in a letter. She says Neely has it all planned out. She's got plans for the department, and she was gone for all of October. That was odd. And then Carl, she's written to, she's had some affair with him. She says, "Let me go, all things end." We don't have an exact date on that. Then her letter saying "I'm alive and well" was written to Mr. and Mrs. Kruger. We don't know who that is. And then C. Townsend is the person who signed her death certificate. And then she mentions this Kendrick person in the Carl postcard about Kendrick agrees with Neely's plans for the department. So that sounds like they may be developing a plan to infiltrate people like Elizabeth into Germany to us. And then the newspaper, we think now, is a real newspaper of the time. And the main thing we got out of that was that Latimer is dealing with POW Germans. And one of the redacted parts of the newspaper talks about the newspaper from May 18th, where she's saying, "It looks like we've got some new guests coming." So that's confirmation that they're holding POWs there. Anything I've left out of our first session summary? Wow, Anna's going to help write a case for high and low. We've got a bunch of people now willing to trying to write cases for high and low, which thrills me. I am here to help and be your support system. I assume the first couple cases are going to be the hardest until we make some progress, get over the humps. Martinez, who's the only one of us who has real experience, has made some progress on a case. I've got some ideas. So hopefully if we all work together and help each other, we can get through the difficult process of figuring out how high and low system differs and how it works. And then I think it'll be a little easier after that. If you are interested in contributing to High and Low, the mystery narrative detective game that I've been working on, that we've been working on, see my last developer diary on YouTube talking about it. All right, so assuming I've summarized reasonably well where we are, I've just printed out notes. Here I have printed out the translation of the German letters. And Tina was saying that here she's saying that there are some other ladies from the Wrens and AJS, which I think is, or ATS, another volunteer service. So this was just our translation of the German letter. The only real thing that's important is talking about Holst that she's translating. Otherwise, not super important. But that's the translation. And then I added notes about the name of the woman that she says is missing. That was Gretchen. Don't know if that's going to come back to us or not. All right, so there's our recap of episode 1. I also just want to quickly recap the oddity of, or not the oddity, but the framework for this Cozy Killer case, which is a little different than some other cases we've played. We weren't assigned questions to answer with this first box. We weren't told what to do. And in fact, what we were basically told is this cool thing that we're related to her. But it's a cold case in a sense. We're being contacted now about old World War II stuff. But the other thing that's interesting is they're basically just framing it saying they're doing an investigation and they're going to keep us up to date. So it almost seems like we're passive in this experience. And then we've got a crossword puzzle. I told you the history of Bletchley Park, where they actually planted crossword puzzles in the paper to find amateur cryptographers and hired a couple. We think now that this paper is a real newspaper, so this would have been the real crossword at the time. If we have any people in the audience who are crossword people, did you work on this already? Has anyone got any interest to fill this in? We don't think it's part of the case. We don't think it's going to have any clues. And we read all the major articles in the newspaper, but we didn't spend any time looking at detailed things like personals and stock market reports, because we think this is a real paper and it's not going to have secret messages planted in it. Besides, there'd be no reason to plant secret messages to Lizzie because she was already in a proper, unless she was a German spy, which we don't think. We may go back to the newspaper at some point if we want to, but right now my impression is it's purely for atmosphere and context. So you didn't miss much if you missed yesterday's session and you're all caught up. Okay, any final words from the chat before we move on and open box 2? I think it would be fascinating if Anna could write a case for high and low. She's got some particular background, skills, and knowledge, and a very particular kind of case that she likes, which I would be very curious to play. Okay. Let's get started with our box 2 here. This says, allergy advice contains wooden shape. So I can feel already this is also a very light box. I think we may have to discuss at some point what happens if we have a quick session. Do we want to play 2 sessions in one? Do we want to play 2 boxes in one session? All right, let's see. Organize our space here. All right, so we've got another letter from Fairhall and Brett, the inheritance recovery service. Cozy Killer seems to use this in multiple games as the framing. Let's see what we've got here. Investigation case number LH4958HL. Please find enclosed the latest releases from the National Archives. Usually some of these items are not simply written correspondence, but appear to be inclusions originally sent with the letters. The research team have also located some additional documents which were declassified at the same time as the letters. As these are official documents and are retained by the archives, we have included photocopies of these documents for your interest. Our research team have requested a more thorough search of the archives to trace information related to Elizabeth Phillips' work within the CSDIC. They've also requested we try to identify her regular correspondent, Penny Vinnick, as they believe her relatives may have retained correspondence from this period. It is their hope that they will determine the fate of Elizabeth with the assistance of Penny's relatives. So we've got Penny's last name now. We hope the enclosed proves of interest to you. These documents and enclosures offer a unique window on the history of the time, and I'm sure they will be of as much interest to you as they have been to our research teams. So again, we're not given an assignment. We're just being kept up to date on this investigation. And we've got Penny's last name now we could add to our notes. Penny Vinnick, who we know Elizabeth was writing to. All right. Let's see what we've got here. Okay. So it's like a bag here of puzzle pieces. Okay. Tickets and wooden pieces. Okay, let's just put that aside. We'll deal with that in a minute. We've got a couple more letters. One of them clearly in Lizzie's handwriting, and one in someone else's handwriting with some paper with holes in it. Let's see what else we have. Then we have a larger letter and some photocopies of stuff from the archive. Okay, so not much in today's box. Let us see dates on these letters. December and May 1943. Okay, let's start with this May letter. So this is Penny writing to Lizzie in different handwriting. Dear Lizzie, I hope you are, this is 19 of May, 1943. How does this, where does that fit into our timeline? Okay, so she wrote Penny on May 18, and here's Penny writing back on May 19, or asynchronously on May 19, 1943. Dear Lizzie, I hope you're keeping up with your crossword puzzles. Yesterday's one was difficult, but I'm sure you cracked it. Most of the men here were appointed on their ability to complete crosswords in record time. I wonder if she's at Bletchley. Apparently, it's a good audition job for cryptology, is what it says. Okay, she's at Bletchley Park. She's with Alan Turing. But it means I rarely get to a paper that hasn't already been filled in. It was lovely catching up the other day, and I'm keeping my ear out here for any opportunities for you to transfer to me or vice versa. It would be nice to work together, although I appreciate our skills are quite different these days. Perhaps it's just a pipe dream. I know you're always fretting about the moths getting into your clothes. So I've enclosed a leaflet about some new repellent that Sue swears by here. She says nothing comes near her uniform, but I warn you, it's not just moths. Sue keeps away. Then again, perhaps you could do with some. It sounds like you're attracting attention and not all for the right reasons. Interesting. Now Perry says, I get the feeling the crossword puzzle might be relevant. I have a theory that this goes on top of the crossword puzzle, but we'll find out. This is a kind of code that's sometimes used where it goes over writing and then you can read the message inside it. It wouldn't be crazy if this didn't go with the crossword puzzle. Okay. Sounds like you're attracting attention, not all for the right reasons. That's interesting. Penny is at Bletchley Park with Alan Turing doing cryptography. She says, "Tell me more about Carl. He sounds very attentive. Are you stepping out yet? I can't wait to meet him. Perhaps one day we can coordinate some leave and go to a dance together. Hoping we will bump into each other again the next time I am selected to accompany Colonel Ward." Okay, so here's Penny Vinnick, who works for Colonel Ward, and we might be able to find out that might be a real person who was at Bletchley Park. DJ Moneycut reminds us that that kind of a code where you put this over to reveal letters is called a grill. And we've also got some text behind this that we might want to read. Looks like just a newspaper thing. Okay, so that's the letter from Penny to Lizzie. And here's a new letter from Lizzie to Penny, which is dated 27 December. So this is the latest letter we've seen from Lizzie, other than the postcard when she's supposed to be dead. Penny, I'm afraid I cannot make it into London for New Year. Something has come up and I've been asked to review the personnel duty rosters before the new guests arrive. We expect them all early January. I'm sure you'll have a great time without me. So more POWs are coming to Latimer House. She's reviewing their files. Everyone is still celebrating the Scharnhorst news. Scharnhorst news. The reels during the last film caused a cheer that could have lifted the ceiling, but I won't feel we're winning until we begin opposing them back in Europe. So I don't know what the Scharnhorst news is, but she's obviously talking about some newsreels on it. When the army reaches Berlin, then we can celebrate. Everyone here is asking after you. Neely and Dorothy think you're great and can't wait for another girls' night out. Rosa asked me to ask you what shampoo it is that you're using on your hair. She suffers terribly with eczema and said if you can let her know what it is you use on your head, she would try it too. I know you suffered terribly with the eczema as a child. Do write and tell me about George. Has he asked yet? Lizzie. Okay, well, these are very cool, and these feel like believable letters. They're talking about the war effort and their work, but also about their love lives and stuff. Very sweet. And she's got no new POWs coming. This is going to be something in real life. Scharnhorst. Sounds like a battle. Maybe someone in the channel can tell us about what that is. All right, let's see what we've got here. Top secret, 19 May 1943. This is the same date of the letter that Penny wrote to Lizzie. Top secret, staff review, E. Phillips. That's Elizabeth Phillips. That's our girl. Bus tickets and wooden blocks found in with letter from Elizabeth Phillips to Penny Vinnick. Bletchley staff. There she is. Confirmation she's in Bletchley. Held for examination, accompanying letter censored and undelivered. Recommendations, pass contents to Bletchley, code breakers. Continue to monitor communication between E. Phillips and B. P. Vinnick. So it sounds like they've intercepted Penny sending these. Sorry, they've intercepted Elizabeth sending these to Penny. Remember, Penny's a code breaker, so it makes sense that Elizabeth is sending her a little puzzle to solve, but they're suspicious of it. They're worried it might be some spy stuff, so they've confiscated it. And I note the tickets also have holes punched. So maybe we assemble this and then use this on it, or maybe we use this on the crossword. We don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out in a bit, but this is just the explanation for why they've confiscated this, why it was never delivered to Penny. All right. And then we've got another document here. Top secret. Officer on duty, E. Phillip. This is from 11 March 1943. Okay, we don't have much around that time. Room 16, transcript. Oh, this is Penny. This is Lizzie Phillips' work transcribing. Transcript. Oh, it's German. Ich war sehr amüsiert, als sie mir gestern in Session das Schrapenhagen Rastafers zeigen. She's translated. I was very amused when they showed me a drawing of the sloping ramp pocket launcher yesterday. And then the agent says, a sloping ramp pocket rocket launcher? And then he responds in German and she translates it. They think it is intended for heavy cargo transport. They are right about that. What we are transporting is heavy, but these tracks have a different purpose. If only they knew what it means for the war. What does it mean? He answers in German and she translates. With these rockets, we will no longer be dependent on the Air Force. We can send the bombs direct to the target. No German casualties. A long-range weapon. We will win the war with this. Okay, so they're interviewing him and he's talking about a top secret rocket launcher that the Germans are developing. And Elizabeth is involved in this. That's maybe the impetus for her to get to Germany to learn about this weapons project. Are these the V2 rockets? Possibly. Okay. So they're interviewing the POWs who are being forthright about it. A little cagey, but forthright. But he's saying we will win the war with it. So his allegiance still seems to Germany. All right, so we've read the full contents of the letter. Other than this code, we haven't figured out what to do with. So let's see. Channel says, DJ Moneycut says, the Scar Horse was a German battleship that was sunk. Okay. All right, so let's look at this and this. So I guess the other part we want to put with this as possibly related, let's see, where's my scan of it, is the crossword puzzle. Might be related, but now I'm thinking it's probably more like we assemble this, we put this over it and read it. All right, so let's see what we've got here, though. This could be related to our crossword puzzle. Let's see if we can turn these right side up. All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can give you a better view of these blocks so we can think through this. I mean, this looks like it's probably on the right-hand side. Again, same thing here, right-hand side. Now, do we think this is English when it's combined? And how tight? Let me get everything right side up. I mean, this is a highly constrained one. There aren't too many things that could go in here. I guess my theory about this being on the right-hand side because of that margin actually doesn't seem right now that I see this. But the margins kind of are telling. This feels like this should have some space below it. If we line these all up, there aren't too many places this could go. It could go here. I guess it could go there. I guess it could go there, but probably not here. So one strategy would be to try to put this together. And then try to figure out how we would use it. But it might also be that these help us assemble it. Let's see what we've got here. London Transport Buses, Route 92, and it's got a number up here. Let's see where I could put these so you could see it. Then we've got a different number, another ticket, holes punched differently. Holes punched differently. Okay, and if we're looking for English words here, they doesn't look very promising for us. I mean, ORSC, maybe that's part of a word. RYI, that doesn't seem like it's part of a word or even a word fragment, although you could imagine it's a word ending in RY and then a word starting in I. If it was reading down, then this should be a word, CAUIT. It's hard to imagine that being a likely string of words vertically. No matter how you break it. It would either be a word ending in CAU. So I'm guessing you don't read the letters down. On the other hand, it may be that these don't form any English words, and it's just a matter of assembling them into a square, not expecting it to form words, and then when we put this over it, it will make sense. Now, if this was the shape of it, let's see if we could actually expect to get, if it filled up, could it match the size of these holes? And the answer is yes. We might expect to form a square with no holes that this fits over nicely. And do these match the size of the letters? A little bit, possibly big enough. Could this be used for this? No. I don't think this will fit and align with this crossword puzzle. What about this crossword puzzle? No. It's not on the same alignment. So I don't think this has to do with this crossword puzzle. I think this has to do with this. I think probably there's only one way to assemble a square out of this, a rectangle. And once we get it, then we will put this on top of it. And probably we shouldn't expect this to form English words. So it's just a spatial puzzle, which is not something I'm particularly good at, but we're going to sit here and try to do it. This is probably something that the channel would have a very hard time helping me with. So this might be your time to go off, get a break, take a break, get some food, while I spend some time experimenting with it. If anyone has any theories of a general strategy for solving such a puzzle, I'm certainly open to it. Suppose if we knew the dimensions of it, it would be helpful. We know it's got to be at least this tall. Channel says, check the moth on the real paper because the scan is bigger. That's a good point. Thank you for reminding me that the scan is not the right size. Okay, so even more clear now that it's not related to our crossword puzzle because the crossword puzzle is too small. Thank you for that, though. That was a very good observation. Okay, so we expect this to be, given the where these holes are, probably approximately a square. Maybe you, if you had to guess, you'd guess an exact square. Given that, if you expected an exact square, what other interesting constraints could you use to decide what to consider? This could be on the left or right, but it probably is on the right. I like to get the dimensions about right. It's a little weird to just do this trial and error. See, if we think it's approximately square, that should help us. That's probably too big, right? Just trying to get size about right. It's probably too tall. Nice to measure it if we think it's probably square. That's too long. How about that? That's still too big. Oh, hold on. Double-sided. Huh. Well, ISKR, ISKR. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so we have to consider that it can be double-sided. Let's be logical about it. Well, let's see what the chat says before I continue with my logical. Use a polyomino solver. That's a spoiler if you get stuck. Okay. Are you sure the wood puzzle wouldn't be the size of the 3 tickets put side by side and use those holes for finding the letters? Interesting. Puzzle square should be 8 by 8 or 8 by 7. If you notice some pieces have the right side with extra space, I think those pieces might be the right side of the puzzle. Well, that is what I've been working on, but then again, if you flip it over, you could get something quite different. Okay, so let's think about some logical stuff before we consider Jonathan's thing. Let's make some observations. First of all, we could count the number of squares we have. Not strictly letters, but it's basically letters. So if we count these, let's just count them and see if it is a square, how big we expect it to be. Actually, if we line it up here, we can probably have a little better image of whether... Now this is a little bit troublesome because these don't look like they would line up on our grid. Like if there's squares under there, is there any sense in which one lines up and another one doesn't? Not really. So this could be for something else. This might not be on here. But here's another observation. There may be a unique way that these assemble, but there is not going to be any way to stop this from being this. right? In other words, there's no spatial arrangement of these tiles that would give us the answer this instead of this, other than maybe the spacing of where these letters are. So it's interesting that some of them are offset and some of them are not. And I wonder if that's our answer. Like, look at this one. These are all in the center. And in fact, this one looks like a question mark, which is interesting. But these are centered. These aren't. So I wonder if it's going to turn out that the way we know which side which is it's double-sided. And one side is centered. And there's two separate messages. Boy, that's a little odd how some are not. Are they colored differently? Not really. Some of them are. Like this, some of these sides have a lot more orange on the letters compared to the others. It makes me think that, no, that one's not quite the case. Now that makes me think the only way we would know right side up is if it's actually spelling something. I'm trying to favor the non-oranged ones, although if you go with the orange ones, you might be able to find patterns like that orange matches another orange. All right, and then Jonathan was suggesting something about the tickets. And someone in the channel was saying, I wonder if one side is German. I mean, this almost looks like it's Germany. Do we have an M-A-N-Y? Could we make Germany from this? Here's German, but that doesn't work. Here's an M. Here's German. But then you've got a word that makes no sense, TTH, so that doesn't work. But what if that's German and then it's our other sides that we want to use? So the other thing I was saying that I thought we might do is count the letters to see if we know how big a size we should expect. Let's just do that here for a second. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. Okay, so I've got probably an 8 by 8 grid. To give you some idea of what that looks like, Let's build it out. Let's build out an 8x8 grid. Not so easy, which is good. No, not so easy to make an 8x8 at the top row. That's a good thing. Okay, so there's 6, 7, 8. That's not going to work. So here's as wide as it's going to be, 8. And here's as tall as it's going to be. So everything's going to fit into a fairly small box here. Is that wide enough to fit all of our grid if we do it? Yes. All right, so maybe if it's an 8x8 without any holes, that is fairly constrained. I would love to get all on one side if we can identify what sides. Okay, so given that it's an 8x8, that may be enough of a constraint to get us the answer. This seems like that might be the end of an English sentence. There's 8. You might expect GHT to be ending this word. We have a G. If it's English, of course. If one of these sides is English and one is... Okay, this looks like could be English. You would expect then maybe an O and U to be in here. Is that a U? This is also a U. Okay. Russian thought. That seems promising. And look, here's our THOU. And there's our R. Okay, so we've got the English side. We've got our 4 letters wide, 8 letters wide, and 8 letters tall. So we've got this now. Okay, where's our U for Russian? There. Okay, Russian thought could be Russian thought. So we're looking for a D here. The reason these are all fitting right side up is because this side of it is a little more palish than the other side, which is what I flipped these onto. Although it looks like this is over here. Okay, so German could be Russian thought. All right, so something German could be Russian. All right, so we're making progress. Let's see. THE. Oh, ends in K. What word? What is going to be there? Can't be that. Oh, well, let's do, oh, there's our M. T-I-K. H-T-I-K. That doesn't work. What else could go there, though? So it's possible one of these is flipped wrong. Although there's not much space left here. That could be, right? You might expect this to be up here somewhere. Okay. I think the blank is a spy. Would we expect a Y down here? Okay. I think the RE, the something is a spy. The RE is a spy. I think the RE is a spy at Latimer on okay, so something's slightly wrong here. Well, I almost got it, huh? That's not right. So that's flipped. Let's try this. I think the RE is a spy. Why am I don't know why the PE. Oh, I think there is a spy at Latimer. Do not think German, could be Russian, thought. Okay, so all right, so we got it. It's not going to use this to do it. It doesn't overlay, but also here's our message. Okay, so I think there's a spy at Latimer. Do not think German, could be Russian, thought. All right, so I don't think these are going to be used for that, but this all could work on the other side. So I'm trying to think the best way to do this. I wonder if the best way to do it is to tape it and then flip it. Tape isn't the most efficient. Also double-sided, which is not really what we want. But we do want to be able to undo it. We're very curious what the other side is going to be, whether it's going to be nonsense or another part of the message. Okay, I think there's a spy at Latimer. Do not think German, could be Russian, thought is the question. All right, so let's see if we can flip this. All right, so here's the other side. Sensors catching our communications, trying something to see if it works, trying something new. to see if it works. That's a W here. Okay. Sensors catching our communications, trying something new to see if it works. Okay, so she's just, this is the precursor to actually giving the message. She's saying, I'm going to try to send you it using this code. Okay. Trying something new to see if it works. Okay, and here's what she's trying. She's trying this. Unfortunately, this is double-sided tape, so it's a little thicky on this side. Okay, I think there's a spy at Latimer. Well, okay, the plot has thickened here. If there's a spy at Latimer, that brings a whole bunch of extra concern to our case. All right, so now the thing is, this is self-contained message. But now, what are these about? Would these fit over here? So it is a little unusual that like this fits over these pretty darn well. Do they fit over any other pairs well? None at a glance. But how would it help us if we did identify unique places for these? What two would this fit on? These two. Maybe others. But then this could go anywhere. How does that help us? Don't think it does. Oh, they are numbered. I see now. This is number 1. This is number 2. This is number 3. Gives us an orientation for them, but I don't know what else to do with them. Let's talk in the chat a little bit. Okay, so Anna says, why didn't she tell this to her superior? Is he the spy? And that's why she's trying to communicate it to an outsider. DJ Moneycut says, is there an ad like that in the paper? John says, maybe we should triple check that the moth ad can't fit anyway over the 2 crosswords. Perry says, good question. Why is she telling Penny? All right, so let's take a break and then we'll come back and look for the newspaper. Maybe we'll look to see if there's an ad like this in the paper. The one thing that was mentioned to us is the crossword puzzles. So what if can the tickets fit over the crosswords? Not really. What about these crosswords? The tickets might align with the crossword puzzle. Upper crossword puzzle. But, oh, I shouldn't be using that. Thank you, Anna, for reminding me not to use that scan. All right. Well, we're going to take our first break here, and then we'll get back and continue. So far, the plot is thickening, getting interesting. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we are back playing the Hidden Listener. We've solved the code that Lizzie sent to Penny, but not the code that Penny has sent back to Lizzie. She mentions this moth thing, which clearly she has sent to Lizzie. She says, perhaps it's just a pipe dream. Okay, I know you are always fretting about the moths getting into your clothes, so I've enclosed a leaflet about some new repellent that Sue swears by here. She says nothing comes near her uniform, but I warn you, it's not just moths Sue keeps away. Sue keeps away. It's not just moths that Sue keeps away. Then again, perhaps you could do with some, it sounds like you're attracting the wrong attention. And she's writing on the 19th of May, and she's mentioned the crossword puzzle, and she says yesterday's was difficult, but I'm sure you cracked it. So it would be very logical that this would relate to our crossword puzzle. That seems like what she's trying to say. Now, where did these come up? Are these mentioned in any of our letters? It's not clear. So I'm going to put those aside for now. We're going to look at the crossword puzzle in more detail. The channel is talking about it, about solving it. Let us just look at this again and see how could you possibly map this to that. The problem is they don't. Well, I mean, maybe it comes close enough. You can see there's some places where but maybe it's close enough that you could get a unique letter in each thing. Or, I mean, one question when you're dealing with these cipher grills is what order to read the letters. Sometimes you could just read them from left to right. But since these are numbered, if it really is the fact that there's only one pair of circles, one place these could be in, if that's really true, if it's really true that there's only one, well, okay, so here's a pair of circles that lines up. And did we find another one somewhere over here? Yes, sort of. So maybe this doesn't have to do with lining them up over here. Jonathan says, check, Jesse. I think the tickets were sent with the wooden puzzle. You could read the confiscation notice. Yes, I would like to figure out if those were kept with that. I think that would help us. Okay, bus tickets and wooden blocks. Okay, good. So are these associated with this? Do they line up? They don't line up with this. So if Lizzie is sending Penny the bus tickets, what is Lizzie trying to say with these bus tickets? It's just odd that they're so similar to this. All right, so the channel is working on the crossword puzzle under the assumption that this has to do with that. It is a stretch to make this line up with this, but it's possible. It is possible. Now, assuming that the tickets don't go with this, which I think we might be able to assume, you might say that all of these should be letters. And maybe once you say that, you can see the top circle and the bottom circle at the top of the bottom of the crossword. What about left and right? Left and right, not quite. We have some extras. So if we line it up here, let me just see if there is a way to align it such that we would get no black under in our circles. So that would give us unique letters. What about here? No. What about here? No. And then here we're off the grid. So basically, there's only one place on the crossword puzzle that I think we have a reasonable chance of getting letters. And that's here, lining this top one up with the 2. Everything else doesn't work. Okay, and you can't go down because then you get off the crossword puzzle, and it doesn't work with this one. Okay. So this would be our numbers. Now I did print this out again. Let me see if it's the right size so we could write on it on this scan. Is that the right size? Yes. Okay, so this scan is the scale. So we could put this over here and mark out which boxes we want if we think this is right. Seems reasonable to me. A little rough fitting. You might think it would fit a little more perfectly, but it's pretty good. Okay, so those are our squares in the puzzle. Let us quickly, though, look to make sure there are no more ads for moth repellent that we should worry about. Well, here is wool. Moths and wool. No. No. No, that was okay. Okay, so I think our most likely bet is that it is the crossword puzzle. If you are reading left to right, top to bottom, it might be, if we could focus on getting a couple of these letters in a row, like this one, this one, this one, it would at least give us some confidence that it's spelling out a word. So we've already got a letter here, right? That someone has written in on this newspaper, I think a D. Where's my enlarged version? Maybe I can do it on that so that I can transfer to make it a little easier for us. So actually, a bunch of these are already filled in on this newspaper, yeah? Just Transferring this to the larger one to make it a little easier for us to follow along. Is that all of it? No. Okay. I think that's all of it. All right. Bus tickets could spell the suspected spy's name like Carl, only 5 letters, on the wooden square Lizzie sent. It's hard to line this up, although I suppose possibly. It's an interesting theory. Would it be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letter name? If we look at our names for a second, do we have any 5 letter names that she would be spelling out? Holst? But that wouldn't be a spy because Holst is the German POW. Neely is 6 letters and Gretchen is too many also. All right, let's concentrate on our crossword puzzle. Logan says the tickets have numbers on them outside of the 1, 2, 3. Yes, they have. They're just numbers down the sides, which are the numerical 1 through 14. It looks like those are probably times. All right, let's put the tickets aside for a second. Let's concentrate on this and see if we can't get this to come out to be a word. Okay. So if the channel is listening, it's the channel chat is going through some of these. So let's see. 2 down could be Madi, but then info is filled in wrong. 8D inadvertent. Martinez is here. 10A is chaperonage. Wow, chaperonage. That's a tricky one. 7D down should be impenitence, but it doesn't work with 9A. 9A is supposed to be hem, not pen. So let me see if I can catch up with the channel. It's a little bit confusing here, but Logan says, could the tickets be telling us what order to read our grill numbers in from the crossword? Okay, so here's the thing. Let me just, while the channel is pulling me in different directions, let me just recap some of the constraints we know. The grill to be used, we think possibly on the crossword, is sent from Penny to Lizzie. This is the item sent from Penny to Lizzie, and in Penny's letter to Lizzie, she mentions this crossword puzzle from the May 18th paper, which is this one. So that's why we think these two go together. The tickets were sent by Lizzie to Penny along with these wood puzzle the day before. So these were sent asynchronously with this. So these can't be related to this. These did not arrive in time. They're writing essentially on the same day to each other. So these can't be related to this grill here. This has to be separate. We have high reason to believe that these two are related. They do seem to possibly line up with this if we could solve this crossword puzzle. We only need these red squares for the message, we think. And now, getting back to the channel working on the crossword puzzle, we we think this is a real scan of a real newspaper, and there's some thought that some of these could be wrong, is what the group is saying. Now, let's see. 2 down is Muhammad leader. And we have what looks like Allah here. So this is going to be difficult for the channel. Has been working on this crossword, but because it's so asynchronous, you can't just say yes, no, whatever, or a word. You have to tell me as a full sentence when you write something in the channel. So assume that I've missed everything before now in the channel. If you can help me spell out things, we'll try to fill these in. So do we think this is Allah? And so this is an A. Okay, now 3 down, an Eastern coin. I'd love to get the first couple letters here because that would tell us whether we're on the right track here. An Eastern coin. Or, no, I guess that's we're only 3 down is going to give us this letter, but we could constrain it if we knew some of these others. Okay, an anagram for peach orange. What was the theory for that one? Okay, we think 2 down is Mahdi, not Allah. So you think 2 down is Mahdi, M-A-H-D-I. But Allah doesn't fit, A-L-L-A-H. A-L-L-A-H. Why don't you think Allah fits? I mean, Mahdi fits too. 2 down is rupee. Okay. Wait, no. You mean 3 down is rupee. R-U-P-P-E. Or R-U-P-E. Okay, if 3 down is rupee, then our first 2 letters of the message would be A-U. That's a little problematic, but it's hard to know. If you guys were right that 2 down is not Allah, but Mahdi. So I don't know enough about Muhammad to know what Mahdi means. Maybe someone could fill me in on that. But if it was M, then it would be the first 2 letters might be M-U. And then we've got another letter here. What about 4 down that someone has filled in here? Let's look at that. 4 down says an opera composer. Boy, it's hard to read these. Is this supposed to be Verdi? What is 4 down? Doesn't look like Verdi. What is it? Voldi. 10A is an anagram for peach orange, which doesn't have an L for. Okay, so what? Okay, so if the comment is being made that if an anagram for peach orange, which someone could look up online how to anagram peach orange, then it can't be Allah because this is going to say some anagram of peach orange, which would be nice because it would actually get us this letter. So there's our P for rupee. So what's the anagram of peach orange? 18A is Lori. The first word of the coded message comes out. Okay, so Nicola has solved it, but Nicola is solving it without telling us how. So, okay. So if this is Mahdi, M-A-H-D-I, then our first letter is an M. Our second letter is a U for rupee. Our third letter is going to be in this anagram for peach orange. If we think this is Verdi, then that's an R. So we have M-U-R. And then this one, if this is Mahdi, that's a D. And that's another one of our letters. And then if this is an E for rupee, that's an E. So M-U-R-D-E. Our next letter is where? All the way over here. If it's going from top to bottom, left to right. "18 across, the oblivion of a French lesson." Nicholas says that's a war. So these, whoever filled these in are wrong. So L-O-I-R-E, worry. I don't know what that French word is, but okay, assuming that Nicholas right, that's an R. So that gives us M-U-R-D-E-R, murder so far. Okay, so that makes us think we're on the right trail. So the first part we've got is murder. Now we need to continue by figuring out a couple more letters. Let's see what else we want. We want 19 across. 19 across is a river of France. Okay, who knows a river of France that's 7 letters long? Lori, like the Seine, is a river in France. Okay, but oh, that was our 18 across, River France. Okay, sorry, that was, so we've already got 18 across. All right, what about 19 across? 19 across is often a symbol of past association. A symbol of past association, 19 across. So forget my comment about a river in France with 7 letters. It was a river in France of 5 letters, which was the Loire. Now we need 19 across, often a symbol of past association. Symbol of past association. A brand or a, yeah. Let's mark the ones we want. We want a symbol of past association. That was 19 across. We also need 21 across, which was an idle sow and dove help to fill this. Idle sow and dove help to fill this. We only need 1 letter from each of these. So if we find the other letters, we can guess what we're missing. So let's just circle the ones we need, and then maybe we can get some of those. Okay, 22 across would also help us. Home of a feminine socialist in the West. Feminine socialist in the West. We'd also like this one, which is what, 12 down? Tough enough to stand a good hammering, 3 words. Tough enough to stand a good hammering. Tough as nails. 3 words. T-O. As nails. This is something as nails. 12 down. So strong as nails. What's the first 4-letter word? I don't know. But as nails. So let's see. So T-O-U. The first word is here. And then this is A-S-N-A-I-L-S. So there's 2 more letters for us. An A N and A. Okay, so there's two more of our letters. What else do we want? 19, 21, 22. We'd like 27 down, which is inclined so as to need nothing to make a simple shed. Inclined so as to need nothing to make a simple shed. I don't know that expression. 31 across, 33 across would be useful to us. Or 25 down. So let's see, 33 across and 25 down. 25 down is land of the living dead. Land of the living. That DEA did. No, that's not right. And then 33 across was this may be shown in a debt column. We'd also like this one, which is 13 down. The word here is just what you want. We also need 31 across. This helps the motorist to get on. Helps the motorist to get on. What's the name for when you get the ramp to get on a highway? The something, the lead up road that gets you on the highway. 31, 27. We also need 21 across. We've got that. 19 across. Okay, so I've circled all the ones that I think we need would help us. 32 across. Another foreign coin. All right. Let me catch up. So I've circled all the ones I think we need. I guess 27 down and across would help us. This seemed right through the looking glass. Is this Alice? This seemed right through the looking glass. Alice through the looking glass. 24, 27 across. Could that be Alice? A-L-I-C. A-L-I-C. That's too many letters. Through the looking glass. All right. So let's look in the chat and see. We should fill in the ones we got, even if it's not needed, just to help with the other clues. 7D is impenitence, so 19A, first letter is M. Seven down. Okay, well, hard as nails is the one over here. H-A-R-D, hard as nails. That's our 12 down. Okay, I filled that in. Lean to for an inclined shed. Okay, so let's do that one. Inclined so as to need nothing to make a simple shed. Leanto. 5 letters, 27 down, we think is lean to. L-E-A. Okay, that doesn't work. Okay, lean to does not fit as a 5-letter word. Okay. 27 across could be left. Let's see what 27 across is. But this seemed right through the looking glass. This seemed right through the looking glass. So Possibly you're saying it's mirrored, so it's the word left. Possibly. Logan agrees with that. Okay, we can pencil it in. Do I have another color I could use for things that we're really not sure? You think this might... Sometimes these pens don't work on this print. All right, I'm just going to pencil in left here. One across is improvement, improvident. A short-sighted claim to be thrifty is improvident. Okay, I'll put it in even though it doesn't look like it's going to be near helping us much, but okay. Improvident, short-sighted claim to be thrifty. All right, well, I don't know that term, so that's interesting. 5 down is dunce, not smart in appearance. D-U-N-C-E. Okay, again, doesn't quite help us out. It's not just that it doesn't help us out, it's that it doesn't touch anything that we need help on. So what's the term of the road that you drive on the lead up to a highway? The something, you know, it's like the speed up lane, the lane you get in to speed up before you merge with the highway. 11 letters. Often a symbol. Okay, while you guys are working on that, I'm going to write out the phrase with its blank so that maybe once we get some of it, if the rest will make sense. So our first word is murder. M-U-R-D-E-R. Then we've got 1 blank, 2 blank, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so I think these are the letters we have left after murder. So there's that one. Then we think there's an A, if we're right. Nope, that's not right. There's murder. Then comes a blank. Then comes another blank. Then comes an A. Then blank. And then you think that's an L for left. And then an A here. Then a blank. Then a blank. And 3 blanks. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So there's our phrase. All right, let's see. In America, it's an on-ramp. All right, well, that doesn't work then. Maybe I was wrong about what that would be. L-A-S-I-T-E-R. It's possible that this is saying Lassiter. And this might be saying at. Murder at Lassiter. That's possible, in which case those would be our last letters. Murderer. Murder is at Lassiter. Murder. Latimer. Sorry. Latimer House. So that's what she could be saying. Murderer. This is just me guessing what we might find in here. Well, if that's right, then these two letters are E and R. 33 across is, this may be shown in a debt column. One word. In a debt column. You might be looking for something like obligations or it's a very long word though. There may be a technical word for debts you carry over or write-offs. Jonathan says, kind of a weird phrase though. What constitutes a murderer when you have a bunch of high-ranking enemy POWs? And also, why would you be telling Penny that there's a murderer at Latimer? All right, well, we don't know that that's what it says. This is just a possibility for us. What one would help us the most? I guess knowing what this 19 across would help us quite a bit. Okay, channel wants me to check. Let's see. Expenditure. DJ Moneycut says expenditure. Okay, so you might find this in a debt column. If it's expenditure, EXPENDITURE, that would match with our theory that this is saying Latimer. I like that. Okay. That would confirm all of that. Now we would really, now we've got just 4 more letters to get, if that's right. So 19 across is often a symbol of past association. And we're guessing that the second letter is an E. A symbol of past association. Perry says a debt is a liability. Sounds like Perry is disagreeing that expenditure, which is possible, but it is ironic that it would fit perfectly in there. 13D could be desideratum. 13 down. The word here is just what you want. If 13D was this, it sort of depends if you come up with this on your own or put it into a solver to guess whether it's a coincidence that the E and the R fit. If 13D is desiderata, which is kind of difficult, not sure I would even be able to define it that way. D-E-S-I-D-E. D-I-S-S-E-R-A. I need the spelling derata. U-M. That would put an M here, which would match our guess that it's Latimer. Okay. You can't just say a word without saying what you're talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about. But okay. So if this is an MER, we've got our Latimer. Now the question is, what about 32 across? It looks like we've got 2 of the 5 letters. 32 across is a foreign coin that starts with the L, has a U in it, if we're right about this word. This is where this ChatGPT should be able to solve all this for us. Be nice to get it on our own, though. 31 across. This helps the motorist get on. It's not broken up into multiple words. It's just one word, 11. Feels like that might be a word we don't use anymore. What do we want it to be? L-A. We think this is a T and an I. Latimer. Okay, so we're actually fairly sure this is going to be Latimer. So we can skip these 2. The real words we need to get are the ones right after murderer. Or right after murder. If that's an E and an R, but we don't know. We think that is an A. Could 19A be memento? Often a symbol of a past association. I like that that might be memento. Where's 19 across? M-E-M-E-N-T-O. I like it. And that confirms our E, which seems to confirm our murderer, which seems to confirm that this probably is an R. 21 across, idle snow and dove help fill this. Idle sow and dove fill this. I don't know, but second letter starts with an R. Okay, but this is probably murderer. So then we know that that's an A. So this is the one it would be nice to prove is a T. 22 across, a home of a feminine socialist in the West. What is the home of a feminine socialist in the West? It's probably a country, right? A 7-letter country? Can someone search what's a 7-letter country? Nicholas says the 32 across is a Lewis, is a foreign coin. Okay, don't know that, but it does confirm our I. 30D, Nicola thinks is ease. E-A-S-E, that doesn't, helps confirm that we've got expenditure, right? Tina says seats 19 across is memento. We already have that one. And Tina agrees with Nicola that 32 across is Lewis. Jonathan says, for clarification, is Penny sending a message to Lizzie? So maybe Penny is warning her she's learned there's a murderer. Yes. Maybe Gretchen was murdered. Yes. So I think that's what's happening. I think Penny is sending Lizzie a warning that there's a murderer at Latimer. Okay, so let me just point out, we still haven't confirmed, but we basically only have one more letter that we need to confirm. It's this T, which is right here. So 22 across would help us. So would 18 down, the oblivion of a French lesson. That's going to be I don't know. What we'd really like is 22 across, home of a feminine socialist in the West. I had to guess that would be a country name with T as the second to last letter. A 7-letter country or city. What is oblivion in France? Regardless, though, I think what I figured out, all the channel is better than me at the crosswords, but looking at this, LA, it made sense that this was Latimer, and we've gotten all confirmation of that. So murder at Latimer, it sounds like, is what Penny is telling Lizzie with her message. She's warning her that there's a murderer. I don't know why she can't, maybe she doesn't know who it is. It would be nice, since we're not 100% sure of these, but I think we are now closer to being sure. It would be nice to get this last T in place. The one that would really help us with the T is 22 across, home of a feminine socialist in the West. No one wants to go to ChatGPT. Hold on. Where's my thing? The answer to the crossword clue, a home of socialist in the West, 7 letters, is likely Seattle. This fits the 7-letter requirement and may refer to Seattle's history of socialist and progressive political movements. Well, that does not match our wanting a T there. What if we try to constrain it? 7-letter. Unfortunately, home of socialist in the West. In the West in 1945 with T as second to last letter. Let's see if it can do this. This is a perfect example of ChatGPT. We're asked for a 7-letter home of a socialist, and it suggested it's probably Soviet. Okay? Notice that T is not the second to last letter in Soviet, and Soviet is 6 letters. So this is typical of ChatGPT doing half of what you said, where like you got to say, no, really. No, really. The answer needs to be 7 letters. Now it's still not sticking with the T part. This Spamonite says, I think 18D is left and memento is wrong. Well, I think memento is right. And a symbol of a past association is a memento. So I'm going to disagree with this Spamonite. The feminine socialist is probably a wordplay because the clue ends with a question mark. I didn't even say feminine socialist. How about we say what? What if we ask ChatGPT who were feminine socialists in 1945? Home of a feminist socialist in the West. In the West, huh? Well, is there any way to convince ourselves that that's a T? I mean, I feel like we've got most of this message. We probably don't need to get any more confirmation. What else could she be saying? We pretty much think we've confirmed the E and the R. So murderer, A something. There's nothing else for it to be. It has to be at Latimer. Nicholas says it's a wordplay. I don't think it matters anymore. I think we've got it enough to know she's saying murderer at Latimer. In fact, we pretty much knew that right from early on, but everything we've seen seems to confirm it. Penny is telling Lizzie there's a murderer at Latimer. Okay. Let's move on from that. If anyone wants to try to work out that a little bit more, you are welcome to, but I think Penny is telling Lizzie there's a murderer where you work. Okay, so we've used this. We have not used the tickets, though. What would Lizzie be trying to communicate with these tickets? So they're numbered 1, 2, 3. They're not handmade by Lizzie, so Lizzie doesn't have control over these numbers at the top. And Lizzie, what does she mention? Anything that would suggest what she's trying to say with the tickets? Let's see. I can't make it into London. Something's come up. I'm reviewing the duty rosters for the new guests. We expect them early January. I'm sure we'll have a great time. You'll have a great time without me. Everyone's still celebrating. When it gets to, I won't feel we're winning till we start pushing them back in Europe. Everyone here is asking after you, so they all must met. They must have gotten together at some point. Rosa asked what shampoo it is you're using on your hair. She mentions eczema twice, but it seems like she's just asking about questions. Do write and tell me about George. Has he asked yet? So she doesn't seem to be saying anything about these tickets, but they were accompanied by this puzzle, bus tickets and wooden box. Chat says the codes on the tickets are probably important. I don't see how they would be, to be honest. Anna says it's time for a break. Okay, let's take a break. I'll see you in 8 minutes. Okay, we're back. 19 viewers on YouTube, 8 likes. Just keep that in mind. When we go to break, I try to remind the channel to stretch, clear your mind, get up, refresh your tea, and it does help. Okay, let's talk about these tickets. They've got circles in them, which reminds us of the grill that Penny used to encode a secret message. Now let's think logically about this. She doesn't have control over these tickets. I don't think she's written this on them, although I guess she could have typed them on there. You might guess, you can see these are the times or the stops. You might guess that those might be important, that the punches might be related to those. Like here's a punch at 2, a punch at 5, a punch maybe at 14, but then here are 2 punches that don't look related to the numbers at all. Now, stepping back for a second, let's think about the letter from Penny to Lizzie. Very logical. In her message, she had a coded reference to the crossword puzzle. She mentioned it a couple times. She mentioned a specific date in the paper to look at, that this matched, and then she matched this. So that was Penny being very logical. Of course, Penny's skills are in codes and cryptography, so it's not so surprising that she knew how to send a code. Lizzie is not as experienced with codes, so she sent this puzzle, which the censors immediately flagged and said, hey, wait a second, this looks like something we should worry about. She says, there's a spy here, it could be German, could be Russian, what do you think? Now, these were sent by Lizzie to Penny. We looked in the letter from Lizzie to Penny to see if she could be referencing something with those tickets. Well, there are a couple things that jump out. One is this whole comment about her hair and eczema. She mentions the word eczema twice. She says, Rosa asked me to ask you what shampoo you're using on your hair. She suffers terribly with eczema. And said if you can let her know what it is you use on your head, she would try it. I know you suffered terribly with eczema as a child. Could this be real story? Yes. Could it be related to something in the paper with eczema or a shampoo? That's a possibility. Nothing on the backs of these cards. But before we go to the paper and look for something on eczema, let's talk about something else that didn't come up in the channel. Okay, the nature of the grill coded message is you have to have a message to apply these to. You have to have some document that these are going on top of. The nice thing here is we've got an order, so you could imagine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. And so we thought about, well, this could be giving someone's name. Maybe she didn't want to put the name in the code, but she believes she knows someone's name might be a spy. And here she might be spelling it out separately. So this might be 5 letters. Now, before trying to solve it, just think with me for a second. See if you can think what I'm thinking. A logical place for us to find a message that we would put this on top of would be a newspaper. Elizabeth is writing to Penny and she's providing her these to decode something. What else would be a logical place to look for a message that you could use these on? Newspaper is one, but she doesn't mention the newspaper in her letter, so I don't think it can be the newspaper. She'd have to be telling Penny what newspaper to use. And Tina says, timetable. Well, I don't think there's a timetable that she could be referencing. But there is another source. Perry says the letter itself. Well, yes, perhaps the letter that she sent to Penny, but what else? 1, 2, 3. Where else could be the secret message that she's referring to? One thing occurred to me is that she's written 2 other letters to Penny previously. It's possible that she's referring to those, although now that I say it out loud, it does seem a little less likely because she wouldn't have a copy of her own messages, so maybe she wouldn't know. She wrote Penny twice before, but I suppose she wouldn't have a copy of her previous messages, so she wouldn't be able to use them. The chat says maybe put them on top of each other. I tried that. I tried that before. They don't fit. They don't let you see through stuff on top of each other, if that's what you mean. Let's see the letter herself that she wrote to Penny, though. How would we do this? On what basis would we line this up? I mean, it sure looks like something that you would look through, but on what? She doesn't mention a specific newspaper to use, so it can't be from the newspaper. Could be from this letter itself, but how would you know how to line it up? And Tina says, are we sure that you need to use them on this box and not a future box? I do think that's the best. Overlay the address at the top, says Perry. Well, that's a good idea too. But I do think that would be a very reasonable guess that she's sending her tools to use for subsequent letters. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think before we get hung up on trying to use these, we should absolutely say, look, they may come in value, they may come useful somewhere else. But the address is a reasonable place to look. Let's see. If we were, because it's formatted right, if you were doing this in order, 1, 2, 3, that doesn't really work. How would you align this? This one is an odd one, right? I do think that the safest bet might be to assume that she's got a copy of these tickets herself and that she's sending these to Penny for future messages. When were the tickets sent? Well, they were sent with this letter on the 27th of December, 1943. The other thing they could logically be used with is this, but they don't seem to. Well, they don't really line up with these. Let me just make sure they don't line up with these. They don't really line up with this. And why would you bother to do that? I mean, here was your secret message. It's already spelled out here. I think our best bet is that these are going to be for a subsequent message. That makes the most logical sense. It certainly makes the most logical sense that we would hold out that possibility and only go back to this if we don't find it resolved. DJ Moneykit says, do they line up with the smaller crossword? I don't think they do, but more importantly, I think that Wizzy has no way to talk about it. So, well, they do kind of line up with the smaller crossword, to be honest. But how would we... How would she know that? Did they, though? Like, on what basis would we want... I mean, maybe... It is tempting, but she doesn't mention anything about the crossword. And how would you align them? You can't align 5 with 5. I don't think so. I don't think they line up quite well enough, although it's tempting. But whereas here, we had one single alignment that worked that didn't cover up blacks. Here we've got lots of possibilities where it could go. No good way to line it up. We do have a number here, 4239. So if we line this up with the 4, we would get here. That doesn't work because that's black. Plus, she doesn't mention the paper. Plus, she has no... So there'd be no way she'd be telling Lizzie what paper to use. And Anna says, logically, if there's always one thing left for later, like the crossword puzzle, then the only thing left are the tickets, so they're for a later box. Nicholas did have an interesting idea. There could be a consistent ad in the paper, could check for a shampoo ad. I'm willing to check for that. I don't think we should assume, as Anna is saying, that there's always something left. But I think what's compelling to me is the fact that Lizzie is not mentioned in the newspaper. So there'd be no way for Penny to know what she's talking about with these, where to use these. Whereas Penny is sending back telling her yesterday's newspaper. So that even kills the possibility that they've previously agreed on using crosswords, because in Penny's letter back, she's saying, hey, check out the crossword from the 18th. So obviously they haven't agreed to always use the crossword puzzle. So I think that's going to be used for another day. I really do think that we're going to see another letter from Penny where she's going to use that. But I am willing to look in the paper to see if there's some shampoo ad. Let's see. Let's put these aside. Letter 2. Okay, so paper, we're looking for an ad that's in every paper about shampoo or eczema. No, no, no. Jacket of useful charm, no. Quality pencils, clothing, hotel, clothing, 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 ration books, war bonds, railway stockholders, cars, wool, United States munitions, underwear, library, clothing, window, fruits and vegetables, a Tunisian tip, waste paper about recycling, I guess. Never throw away any paper in the street. Then we have our paint advertisement, baby soap advertisement, and Bornavita advertising. So that's it. I think the thing to do is leave the tickets for a future box, maybe the next box. So we have finished officially with box 2. And now we have to make a decision. The decision is, do we want to open the next box as part of tonight's gameplay? Ideally, I would say no. My gut is that even though it's a short session, we would be better off playing one per session and people can catch up. But all right, let's have a little vote here. All right, before we have a vote, calm down. Chat's going crazy here. It's total, you guys are, got your insubordination throwing a little coup here. What do we call, what do you call it when you have when the ship has a coup of the captain? What? Mutiny. It's mutiny here. Okay, let me make my case here. Jonathan is the one that is usually can be counted on to make the good decision one way or the other. All right, my case is this. It's going to be hard for people to catch up and watch all of these streams. So if we do shorter streams, 2.5 hours today, it will give people, make it a little easier for people to catch up. We might as well stretch this out. It's easier to watch them on YouTube if we break one box per session. So logic and pacing, I think I understand everyone's greedy to play these cases, but my gut tells me that it might be nice to savor them and play one box per session rather than open up another box, risk not finishing it or going late and people have to leave. So my pitch to you is that we end this session here and we play another box. We could even play another box tomorrow, but I know Anna won't be here, so I'm okay with waiting till Tuesday. That's my pitch. My pitch is we should wait and play it and just keep playing it. Maybe we can play it all next week. One box per session rather than having a super long session. That's my pitch. Now we can have an official vote. You've heard where I come down. Let's see what happens. And Jonathan counts as 3 votes. All right. Get your vote out. Type vote, wait, or vote open box 3. I've convinced Perry to wait. Nicholas says whatever Jonathan says. DJ Moneycut is abstaining. It's like a horse race here. And Tina says open box 3. And it says, I see your point. I'll catch up if you play before Tuesday. I'm willing to wait till Tuesday. Let me just remind Jonathan before he votes. He hasn't voted yet. He counts as 3. Jonathan is usually the one that tells me, that advises me to end it before we get to being tired and having played too long. So Jonathan is usually the voice of reason saying, why don't we stop here? We'll continue. And I remember distinctly telling Jonathan one day, you're always right when you say, let's break here. So I trust Jonathan's judgment. Jonathan says I'm neutral, but I'll go with Jesse. Okay. So I think it's a good sign. We're going to stop the voting here. We're going to stop tonight. It is a good sign when you want to play more, but you stop a little early and then you hit the next one when you're fresh. I find that it's frequent that you get to a point where you're like, let's play one more game, because you feel excited to play the next game. But then somewhere before you get to the end of it, you realize you didn't have the energy to go do the full thing. So rather than start a new box and sort of lose energy a little bit, I like the fact that we play and finish a box while we're on our high energy at our full faculties. So I appreciate the channel going with me, tamping down the mutiny for one episode. So unless I hear otherwise, we are not going to play tomorrow. We're going to do our play-by-mail on Sunday, and we'll probably not play another game of this until Tuesday. I want the people who have been joining me so far who are interested in this, I will try to accommodate your schedule. Looks like Anna's not available till Tuesday. So unless there's other conflicts on Tuesday, we'll resume on Tuesday. It's possible that if enough people can't make Tuesday, that we'll have to squeeze one in tomorrow or Monday or Sunday. But I'll see you Sunday for our play-by-mail, and probably something else on Christmas Day, Christmas evening. If you have a game you want to play, I've got a giant stack of them. They're in the queue section on the Board Game Geek. We've also got one of our viewers who's created a little voting system so we can vote on what games we want to play. We could play a Deadbolt Mystery Society game on Christmas Day, Christmas evening that has to do with Christmas, or we've got a million other games we could play. So I'll be seeing you in the next couple days. We'll get back to this early next week. Thanks for joining me. We got some interesting developments today. A spy in Latimer House, a murderer. That is interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next box holds. See you next time.